Why, hello, friends. Welcome on in. Leading off with Brodes, we have Philadelphia Phillies baseball tonight. Luckily, they're not canceling this bad boy. There's obviously some protocols going on. Didi Gregorius injury that came out of nowhere, and Dave Dombrowski's saying that they hope to see him on Tuesday. So maybe it's nothing serious. Who knows? Maybe that's a lie. Who knows? You never know when any sort of sports person, whether it's a head coach, a general manager, a baseball operations guy says something. You never know if it's vomit coming out of their mouth or if it's a reality. But welcome on into Leading Off with Brodes. We're going to have a lot of fun today as we see Gabe Kapler enter Philadelphia. And I'm going to be honest with you, I know it's a hot topic around the town. What's your reaction going to be like? Did he deserve to get booed? Did he not deserve to get booed? Or ran out of town, I should say. Yeah, he did. Okay, I can't stand him. I can't stand looking at his face, whether it's fair or unfair. Sometimes life is unfair. And for Gabe Kapler, it was unfair here. And I am so jealous of every individual that gets to sit in those stands at Citizens Bank Park and boo the living shit out of Gabe Kapler. I want to go to every game this series just so I can do it nonstop. I won't stop once if I was sitting in that chair. Not once. I wouldn't breathe. I wouldn't eat anything. I wouldn't drink a beer. It would be nonstop, just destroying that man. I can't wait to see his face. Even though I want to punch it. I want to punch it. I'm like looking forward to seeing it just so I want to punch it. That's how bad I want to see Gabe Kapler's face on my TV. Normally, I hate the faces. I don't ever want to see it. I want to see it just so I can get my blood boiling. I'm anticipating that feeling and just swinging haymakers at my television. So, where do we begin today? It's kind of hard not to start off in the batter's box with what's going on with the protocol. Some guys got moved to the IL, and you have the players and coaches all part of this thing. So why don't we head on over to the batter's box and start diving into some of these conversations? All right, here we go. So what ended up happening? You saw the news. First off, you didn't really see anything other than Alvarado was going to the IL. Matt Moore was going to the IL and Torreyes going to the IL. When I initially saw those three names, all I thought was they have some sort of injury. Matt Moore and his piss poor performance, maybe there was something going on. Maybe there was a bunch of discomfort. And then you see that, well, there's coaches involved on this protocol list. And then you see someone like Maton in the lineup, even though that was more of a Didi problem, not so much the COVID list problem. But regardless, you started seeing all this shifting occur, and you see a couple guys get thrown onto the IL. Well, let's just hope and pray that this doesn't snowball into anything else. So I actually want to bring up what Dave Dombrowski said about the protocol list and pretty much how the league is saying this isn't a quote outbreak. There isn't enough involved. They plan on playing tonight. And I guess there's something about the answer right now is yes, in terms of if all the COVID replacements all had to come from the 40-man roster. The answer is yes. But if contact tracing positive tests rule out more players, the Phillies could start bringing up non-40-man roster players, which is definitely important to the future of this team as they continue to go out there and trot out there. I just really hope that we don't get into a situation where we have to sit out a few games and we got to figure out what's going on and contact tracing. If we don't know if they actually tested positive or not, something tells me if you're not telling that information, and I know there's probably rules written on what is supposed to be said, what's not supposed to be said during a time like this, but if you're not informing what's going on and if they did test or not test positive, most likely they probably did. I would feel if it's just contact tracing, maybe that would be the message. Hey, it's just contact tracing. Maybe I'm reading this the wrong way. This is just how I would imagine it would go down. So something tells me since they're not saying if they did or didn't, there's probably some involved that were, and then others are contact traced throughout some sort of MLB protocols. But it's very unfortunate that we're in this situation. I just pray we don't get into if you remember last season, we had to deal with the debacle of the Miami Marlins. I think there was a little bit of a St. Louis Cardinals one as well. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know Miami was a big one, and I think it was St. Louis last year at one point. I'm just annoyed and bothered and just frustrated that we're still going through this. I know this is irrelevant, but I was going to Walgreens the other day. I had to pick up some essentials, right? I had to go for the old refresh of the deodorant, get some more toothpaste, go with the old mouthwash, get some new soap, just your essentials as a human being. And as I'm walking into the Walgreens, I'm putting on my mask and I'm watching other people put on their masks as they're walking in. And I'm thinking to myself, I cannot believe we are seriously still doing it. The fact that it was just like a take a step back moment of what the hell is going on here. The fact that this is a real thing. The fact that, oh, damn, I hope I don't forget my mask. Like, what? I'm just so tired of it, sick and tired of it. Now my baseball team has all these problems. And hell, missing out on Alvarado could be huge. It could be monstrous. It could be the difference in having a win or not. Alvarado's a dude that, yeah, sure, he has your ups and downs. I don't care about Matt Moore right now because it won't impact this game or the next game. I'm not talking about his well-being. Of course, I want his well-being to be fine. But I'm talking about for this stretch of this COVID stuff on the COVID-19 list, he's irrelevant because he's not going to be in play for the next couple of games. Anyway, he just started. And by the way, Vince Velasquez will be making that start in Coors Field on Friday. Okay, what ballpark would you say if you're Vince Velasquez, I don't want to pitch in when I get my opportunity this year? It would probably be, out of all the ballparks in the world, Vince Velasquez pitching in Coors Field is probably the most hysterical one of them all. He's probably going to get obliterated. Although, well, look, they got some Blackman and Trevor Story. I'm just thinking they're a disaster internally as it is. But regardless, that's irrelevant to Vince Velasquez. Torreyes stinks. Jose Alvarado, though, that can be a reliable bullpen piece, as we know, that will be on the shelf at the moment. Now you got to look at some late inning guys, look around. Hell, you got Connor Brogdon, though. You got Connor Brogdon. If you're looking for the lefty, well, you don't have that. And we talked about this entering the season. What happens if Jose Alvarado is not available? What happens if there's an injury in play? What happens if Jose Alvarado can't pitch for you? You have no lefties. Well, you do have Jojo Romero. Now, he stinks. Your options have gotten worse, way worse, now that your power arm, your power lefty is not available. So it's totally something that is brutal for sure and can cause some damage to this team. All right, let's go to the batter's box and see what we have to say on the Didi Gregorius news. All right, definitely not ideal. Okay, definitely not ideal. You're going with Maton. And I looked up what he did in spring. I remember him hitting a bomb. He hit one home run, knocked in 8 RBI in 28 at-bats in spring, hitting 286. Those numbers, well, yeah, pretty good, right? In 2019, he bounced around a little bit between A-ball, double-A ball, those different minor league teams. But in double-A, in 62 at-bats, he did have 2 home runs, but he hit 210. Look, my expectations are not very high for Maton. Very young player, stepping into the shortstop position, very raw. In my opinion, not really ready for this, getting thrown into the fire. The more important thing, though, is looking at this issue with Didi Gregorius and his throwing elbow. Swelling and needs a rest day. Here's your, if you want to look optimistic, we heard that Bryce Harper had back issues and needed a rest day. And what do you know? The next day he bounces back with 3 for 3, a beautiful home run in the second deck, and a walk. So he was on base 4 times. He was very explosive. That's the positive out of this. If, hey, rest day is all you need. The problem is, although back tightness, back stiffness, no joke, can definitely linger, can definitely be a problem when you look at a throwing inflammation problem and things going on with swelling in the elbow. Yeah, not ideal. Okay, not ideal at all. And just looking through Didi, just to look at what type of production you've been getting out of Didi Gregorius that you are now not getting. He's hitting 296 on the season. He did just come off of an 0 for 4 day. But if you just go through his game logs, we know what Didi Gregorius is, but it's a big loss. It's a big loss. So now you're losing a player like Didi. You're losing a lefty that can pull the baseball beautifully. Ain't that the truth? And you're missing out on a guy who, well, I mean, I guess you can make the argument that this year there's been some wonky defensive plays, but ultimately you're missing out on him and you're missing out on Jose Alvarado. Those are some significant pieces. As you're going up against the San Francisco Giants team, whether you think they're as good as their record is or not, they're going to come in with an attitude. They're going to come in with some hate towards you because they're going to want to play for their manager. It's the Doc Rivers effect of what you see when the Sixers play the Clippers. Ty Lue, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, when they see Doc Rivers and the Philadelphia Sixers, they want to make a statement, right? They want to definitely make some noise, and they want to work hard. They want to work hard for Ty Lue. Just like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, they know how it went down. They heard all the talk. They heard all the rumors afterwards. They heard the pinned-down statement from Paul George about Doc Rivers and how he wasn't utilized correctly. So Joel and Ben, they want to fight for their guy. They want to fight for their coach, just like their coach fights for them when there's a poor call made. Well, guess what? The Giants are going to come into Citizens Bank Park to face an 8-7 Phillies team and wanting to fight for their manager, Gabe Kapler. I know that sounds hilarious. I almost laughed out loud saying that someone wants to fight for Gabe Kapler, considering when he was here, you got Carlos Santana smashing television screens and Fortnite being played before games are happening and all that silly drama. So no one wanted to do that here. The accountability factor wasn't strong. Hell, who knows, though? Maybe he learned all of it and went to San Francisco and said, I learned from that. I wasn't the best manager then. I was very raw. I was new to it. And now I'm different. And maybe those Giants players love playing for him. He fits West Coast, though. He's a West Coast guy. He fits that. But I just know that is a part of this for sure, that they are going to want to play hard for their manager. So they're going to have that extra edge. All right, so going to Didi Gregorius. He had 0 hits last game. He had 2 hits prior with a double. That was really nice. An RBI as well and a walk, although they did lose that game 9-4. In the 9-2 win against the Cardinals, he ended up having 1 hit. He did score 1 run as well. So, I mean, he was batting .320 prior to that last outing against the St. Louis Cardinals. So, I'm worried, though, about this swelling in the arm. It doesn't sound good. From what we're hearing, though, they're hoping that he plays against this same team on Tuesday. So if you're just thinking about how bad could it be, how terrible is it serious? From what we're hearing, Tuesday seems to be something that they're looking at. All right, let's head back on over to the batter's box to check out the the Gabe Kapler effect. Gabe. Man, I hate Gabe Kapler. It's a shame because it's totally not fair, and I get that. Uh, I know it's not fair. By the way, someone's asking how old Maton is. How old is he? He's born in 97, so he's probably like 24 years old. He's 24 years old. That is how old Maton is, just to be clear for everybody asking that question. In 2019 throughout, I guess this is all of 2019 because as I alluded to, he played in a couple different leagues. He played in advanced A ball where he hit 276. I mentioned double A where he hit 210. It just says here in all of 2019 stats, he hit 266 with 7 homers and 51 RBI. But obviously, you're all over the map in different leagues and whatnot. So I'm interested to see what he's going to provide for you. With Gabe Kapler, though, it's funny because I'm someone who normally likes to look at things. I have my moments of being subjective and being a little bit over the top, maybe Furkan, Andrew Knapp a couple years ago. There's always things here and there that are thrown out there that I understand is a little bit irrational, but I like to have fun with it. Gabe Kapler is one of those for me, all right? It didn't work here. Whether he becomes a good manager one day, doesn't become a good manager one day, it did not work here. It did not fit here. And realistically, even though throughout those couple of seasons, I did rip apart the decision-making of Gabe Kapler, when Matt Klentak is at the helm and he's the one that has a lot of say and he's able to do what he wants to do and he's making the decisions and he's telling Gabe Kapler what to do and their analytical team was involved, which most likely knowing the Matt Klentak era and how that all played out was probably just horrendous analytics to begin with. Gabe Kapler's baseball decisions, I mean, they were very, very limited on what he's doing. And then here's it, like, he didn't have much say in it. He's just told what to do, and he's the puppet. So our hate is just about a guy being in place of making Matt Klentak's decision, and that was Gabe Kapler. And we put it all out there about Gabe Kapler when it was really more Matt Klentak than Gabe Kapler, and we're all aware of that. We know that, but it's just still there. It's a hate the face type of mode for him. It's crazy how he was so despised, knowing how much of the deeper issues were involved. Just poor drafting and a terrible prospect pool and very interesting starting pitching, right? I mean, back then, yeah, you had Aaron Nola, but it's not as if you had your Vince Velasquez, you had your Nick Pivetta, you had your Zach Eflin of a few years ago, which is nowhere even close to having the same impact as he's having now. And you got Chris Young in play, who clearly wasn't a factor and was not helping out this pitching rotation at all. Then we're working with new hitting coaches, and hey, we got to mix everything. I mean, it was just a disaster all the way around. It's just so funny to see the reaction, but I support the reaction. I think it's a fair reaction. I think it's quite frankly, it's a funny reaction as well. But Gabe Kapler deserves to be a hate the face. Sometimes it just goes that way. That's the cards you were dealt. For Gabe Kapler, he was dealt those cards, and I'm looking forward to hearing the obnoxious amount of hate towards this one man. I feel like such a horrendous person. All right, let's check out the lineup today. All right, the lineup. What we have here is Andrew McCutchen, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto batting cleanup, Alec Boehm batting fifth, who has been getting a little unlucky as of late. He's been just crushing the baseball out the right field. Guys are catching the ball, I mean, at an unbelievable rate where, I mean, they're banging up against the wall. Some really, really good contact, just getting extremely unlucky. Same with Bryce Harper as well. Very strong contact, getting unlucky. And it's funny that a Bryce Harper unlucky streak, with some air quotes here, is still sickening numbers and getting on base 4 times in a game and 3 for 3, home run, single, double, just squaring up the baseball, tattooing it, as the people say these days. Yeah, Bryce Harper's just destroying the baseball. Like a couple of those, what was it? A 980 expected batting average for the one home run that I call it a home run, but it wasn't because of the wind. 980 expecting batting average, 990 expected batting average for a couple of those hits against the Cardinals in that game. That was crazy with the wind and the brutal weather. So just nuts. So batting fifth is Boehm. I'm sure his batting average will come up a bit, because if you look up where he is right now with his batting average, it's like 222. That's exactly what he's batting. He's batting 222 right now. And he's better than that. I think he's seeing the baseball better than that. If you watch his at-bats, he's giving you more professional at-bats than just 222. So there's definitely something more in there. And I think as he continues just to be this player, you will see those numbers creep back up. Jean Segura. And I'm kind of shocked that he's batting this low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's batting 6th in the lineup right now. I was actually a little bit convinced today on Coffee with Brodes. If you did catch that today, I was, talking about maybe what you should do. And to be fair, was more of a product of what I think Andrew McCutchen can be in other spots. Batting third in his career, he's been phenomenal. The problem is he's not the Pirates version of himself anymore. So other than that, he hasn't really had any production in any spot other than the leadoff, while Jean Segura has had great success in other areas than just leadoff spot, but he has hit over 300 in his career at the leadoff spot. So is there something to be said about maybe giving Jean Segura that opportunity? Now, if you're playing the numbers game, as I mentioned, Andrew McCutchen has only had success other than in the batting third, but that's not him anymore. We know that. Where can you place him? As when you look at Jean Segura, he can bat in way other positions in that lineup and go into way other spots in that order where you can rely on him to be a really successful piece. I am convinced, though, because he has had that over 300 batting average for a lot of at-bats, big enough sample size to move the needle for me. Maybe there is something in Gene Segura batting one. We'll find out, though. We will absolutely find out. All right, so what we're going to do now is kind of open it up to the chat and have some fun conversation with all of you as we go to the batter's box the last time to go to your comments and thoughts. All right, let's open it up to the people. What I have called up Scott Kingery instead of Maton. So what I saw at this is where, and I know I like to go back to the actual quotes about Scott Kingery because there was an actual quote that was thrown out there by, I believe it was Dave Dombrowski. It looked like both people spoke today. And here you go. Oh, okay. So this one was actually Joe Girardi. This is per Todd Zalecki, who covers the Phillies for MLB.com. Joe Girardi said the Phillies chose Nick Maton over Scott Kingery because they want Kingery to make swing adjustments in AAA. The bigs are not the place to do that. Well, guess what? They said that how long ago? That was told to us how long ago? Weeks ago, before they even started the season and then when they were making their decisions on the roster. So that tells you everything you need to know about where Scott Kingery is right now, where his mechanics are, where his head is at. They're in the same spot they were in Florida. They were in the same spot they were in spring training. Nowhere close to being good enough. Not even reasonable to call up. So if you are at the point now where you're not giving Scott Kingery a chance over Nick Maton, I mean, seriously, it goes back to, if you're not going to call up Odubel Herrera now, when you see Roman Quinn batting 0-43, when you see Mickey Moniak going 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, when you see this happening and you see Adam Hastley prior to the personal news of having to leave, when I'm talking about the on-field production, you see all that garbage happening and you're not making any sort of an adjustment and you're not calling up Odubel, it's because you're not going to call up Odubel. There's a small chance. I'm not saying there's a 0% chance, but if not now, like, you're not telling me that Odubel Herrera's play is worse than the production you're getting. You're telling me that you're not calling up Odubel Herrera because of the noise, the surrounding pieces, the PR move, all of that. That's why. It's not production. You're telling me you can't do better than .043? Stop it. Of course he can. So with Scott Kingery, there's a reason why you're not getting Scott Kingery up here, and they're going with Nick Maton. It's because he's just not ready yet, and that's extremely, extremely disappointing. What do I think of the pitching matchup tonight? Well, if you go to the pitching matchup tonight, Gaussman versus Chase Anderson, you obviously have an opportunity here to get a win, right? I mean, it's not crazy. It's not absurd. You just, what you need. The problem is you're losing a big piece in Alvarado in the bullpen. That is a serious person for you to rely on. You get a lefty power arm. Teams get up in the box when a guy's throwing 101 and giving you 95-mile-per-hour off-speed pitches with great movement that can fool you and buckle your knees. Yeah, you're going to have an issue there when you're losing that. And knowing you have a guy on the mound that you're looking for, let's be honest with ourselves. What are you looking for out of a player like Chase Anderson? 5 innings. Give me 5 innings. Anything more is an added bonus. Give me 5 innings. Well, when you know you're going to rely on your bullpen tonight, probably, and you don't have a piece like Jose Alvarado, that's pretty disappointing. Now, when you look at tomorrow, you got Webb versus Zach Wheeler. Of course, that's going to give you an advantage. So if we're looking at this full matchup for the series, that definitely is great. And then there's that afternoon game when Eflin's on the bump, and they have, it doesn't even tell you on the ESPN, it says to be determined. Why does it say to be determined? You should know who's set up. I'll go to MLB.com. I don't know why it says to be determined. Does anybody know who starts the third game for San Francisco? I do find that odd. Anthony. Oh man. I'm just looking. Sorry. I'm waiting for this page to load so I can figure out. He's from New Jersey. Schiaffiani. I just butchered the hell out of that last name. But yeah, that's you starting the third matchup. So I think it could be in favor for, yeah. Totally butchered the hell out of the last name. That's who is playing for this series and the matchups. And maybe, I could see it be a good situation for the Philadelphia Phillies to get a good advantage here for sure. It's not out of the question. You can totally win this series with the way that you have everything lined up, but it would be huge if you get Chase Anderson to win today. Now you're talking about Zach Wheeler up and Zach Eflin up. With those two on the mound, you're unless you're going up against a DeGrom, a Scherzer, players like that, you're in a position to totally win for sure. So that is absolutely it. Where how I see it. Offense has to be on fire tonight if the Phillies are able to win. We know the pitching is going to be a damn nightmare. Is it going to be a damn nightmare? I don't know if it's going to be a damn nightmare. It's not Matt Moore. Now, I'm not saying Chase Anderson is going to blow the world on fire here and just totally destroy this team or anything like that. But, I think Chase Anderson could be your 5-inning guy. Like, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, anything like that. Sure, I think that is fine. I think that is fair, and I don't think that's an absolute disaster. It's your 5th starter. Show me a team that's not named the Dodgers that can roll you through 5, and your 5th starter is something that you can demand 6.5, or 6 2/3. That type of production. Like who has that? No one has. It's your 5th starter. So I don't know if it's going to be an absolute disaster. I think it's going to be a 5th starter type start, which is 5 innings, 5 2/3, 5 1/3, 2 earned runs. If he gives you that, I don't label that as a damn nightmare. That's me personally. I mean, it just depends on if he gives you that, though, because I'm not saying it is going to be that. It can be one of those games where Chase Anderson doesn't have it. A lot of the times, 5th starters get themselves into a pickle to a degree. But now this is true. Without Archie, Bradley, and Alvarado, I can't. Well, I mean, I can see our bullpen holding up. There's still pieces in there. It's not last year's bullpen. There are still pieces in there. Connor Brogdon is a name. Do you like Connor Brogdon? What if you have to go to Connor Brogdon? What if you get to go to Kinsler? What if you have to go with Kinsler? That's a name that I could rely on. The problem is the lefty side is concerning. You also have Hector Neris in the pen as well. So I'm giving you 3 names. There's 3 right there. Yep, as we just saw in the chat, as I mentioned that, Brogdon, Neris, Kinsler. There's still names available in the bullpen. There's who. I don't want to name some of them. I'm thinking of one at the top of my mouth, and I want to throw up just thinking about it. So I'm not even going to go in that way. Brogdon's my guy. Well, here you are complaining that you're nervous about everything, yet you feel great about Connor Brogdon. I agree that Hector Neris deserves more than he gets, even though he's a blockhead on the mound. I agree with that. I think that it's false expectations. It's thinking that it is David Hale. You shut your mouth. It is David Hale. Hector Neris does. It's like the expectations are too high. What do you think? This guy is Mariano Rivera? No, he's just an average closer. You have an average closer. That's the way this team's set up. Don't be mad at him for the organization having an average closer. That's what they have. That's what he is. Don't put these false expectations on him and demand him. It's like expecting Chase Anderson to give you a complete game shutout. Why would you do that? In what world would you do that? With Hector Neris, why would you expect him to just shut out everyone all the time? That's not who he is. That's not his game. He's a guy that can close out games. He struggles sometimes. He's just average. He's an average guy. You have an average closer. That's an organizational problem, not a Hector Neris problem. And that's the difference for me. What happened to Didi Gregorius? So he's got an issue with his throwing elbow. There is swelling and he needs a rest day. So Maton will be playing shortstop today. Don't really know what this means. And they think that he can possibly be ready to go on Tuesday. So if he's ready to go on Tuesday, then you're good to go. I already am thinking about the sunglasses. I actually thought about it to bring it on for this show, and I completely forgot until about right now. So that is that. Does Mickey Moniak get a hit today? Yeah, why not? I think he's due. I think he's due for a single. Maybe he gets a little single. I talked the other day about center field trade targets, mentioning Mitch Haniger. Yes, I did. What type of trade package do you think it would take to pull that up? I honestly don't know. When you dive into the prospect pool, there's not many there. You do have catcher prospects. People want, and you feel okay with JT Realmuto and Andrew Knapp. So maybe you can look along your catcher. The problem is you don't have a lot. You don't have a lot. So, and Seattle, if you look at how Seattle's playing right now, if you go to the MLB standings, and that's the thing, teams aren't going to make a decision so early. Seattle doesn't know what they are yet. They're 10-6. You're telling me they're ready to make a move for Mitch Haniger? No. So that's the problem. Teams aren't going to just be trading pieces away and getting all sorts of trades going and moving guys around when they're 10-6. Why would they be starting to trade Mitch Haniger? I just don't see how that's going to happen. That's the problem. But they don't have many they're not trading. Maybe Medina. Maybe you get rid of someone like Medina, but you're not going to utilize Bryson Stott or Mick Abel or any players like that to go out and make the trade. So maybe it's a Medina and a player like that. Unfortunately, that's what it would take. Bohm has been getting pretty unlucky with great hits, turning into fantastic plays. Yeah, he is. He's getting robbed out in right field a couple times for sure. Now, someone just mentioned Nick Pivetta. And I'm going through his. I looked at this yesterday, actually, but they pitched today, didn't he? He pitched today, or did he not pitch today? I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe he did not pitch today. Let's see. Let's go to. We should trade Kingery. No one wants Kingery. Who wants Scott Kingery? He stinks. He's a guy who just got sent out with that contract too. Oh no. Okay, Nick Pivetta did not pitch today. So I don't know why Nick Pivetta was even brought up if Nick Pivetta did not pitch. So far, well, I mean, he went 3 2/3 the other game. 3 2/3 innings pitched, but got the win. He pitched 6. So he went 5 innings, 6 innings, 3 2/3. 4 earned runs and a 14-9 win. So this is why win-loss is so flawed. I mean, absolutely flawed. Who mentioned Nick Pivetta? Yeah, this is where it's a little bit egregious here. All right, so they win 14-9, and he allows 4 earned runs in 6 innings with 7 hits. All right, that screams Nick Pivetta to me, doesn't it? Isn't that exactly what Nick Pivetta is and always kind of has been? Against the Chicago White Sox, they win 7-4 in 3 2/3 innings. He allows 2 earned runs, walked 4, allowed 4 hits in 3 2/3. Don't give me that garbage about his wins. Can we give some respect to Bohm's D? Sure. I think we give proper respect. I think we respect it the right amount. I don't think we over respect it. I don't think we under respect it. I think we talk about it the way it's supposed to be made. He makes some nice plays when he has to jump up in the air. When it comes to throwing the baseball to first base, he doesn't know how to get enough power on it. Rhys Hoskins does a terrible, and I mean absolute terrible job at actually scooping the baseball, which sucks. But yeah, Vinny V is probably going to, he's not probably, he is. It's pretty much written in stone at this point. He is going to get that start on Friday in Coors Field, which is going to be hysterical considering how the ball flies out of that ballpark. What happened to Didi? This is just to kind of resurface for people that are getting thrown in here mid-show. He's got an issue with his throwing elbow. They're swelling, and he needs a rest day. That is the information that we are given. Now, I'm going to take a peek here on the Twitter sphere to see if we see anything from the beat reporters that cover the team, because they've kind of been up to speed here on some of the COVID protocol stuff. I want to see if any news came out as we're discussing here. Well, it looks like Steph Curry is going to play tonight against the Sixers. That's good. That's fun. Let's see what else we got. Anything? John Heyman tweeted out 25 minutes ago. No Phillies players are known to be COVID positive to this point, though 3 are in protocol due to close contact. Only Phillies coaches are positive so far. All right, so that's new news that I just saw. So no players positive, only coaches so far have tested positive. Now, that doesn't mean anything because a couple of days later, positives can come up, and if they've been around each other, that's where the drama comes into play. So that is a part of this for sure. Do you think Gene's hustle lasts all season? No, not like that's like saying, do I expect him to hit 330 to 350 all season long? No, I don't. But that doesn't mean I don't think he's going to be beneficial to this team. I think he is going to be beneficial to this team, but no, I don't think it's going to like this full on insane effort. No, probably not. History will tell me probably not. Doesn't mean I won't enjoy it when I see it, because I do, and I do agree that it's fun to watch right now, and it's very entertaining, and it's something that helps out this baseball team tremendously, and it helps set the culture. It helps sets the intensity when you see Gene Segura do it, when you see Bryce Harper do it. There's this snowball effect, and it really starts with Bryce. I think Bryce's effort somewhat, he's the leader. He's the leader of the crew. When he gives you that hustle double, Gene Segura ends up giving you that hustle double. So I think that's a huge, huge part of this, big role. But no, I don't think that is going to last forever. No, I don't. Any all-star predictions? Way too early for that. Way too early for that. Not even close to get into all-star conversation. Um, Matt Moore's a hate to face. Yeah, I can agree with that. Vinny V or Matt Moore? I'm actually going to go with Matt Moore. Not because I think he's better. I don't even think he's better. I am done with Vince Velasquez. I'm done with him. Done. Done. We've done this for how many years now? So it's not even really anything to do with Matt Moore. It's everything to do with my frustration boiling that we are still trying to find a way to get this kid more chances. You've had 6 billion chances. 6 billion. 6 billion chances. Can we please stop with trotting his ass on the mound? So my answer is Matt Moore. Believe it or not, my answer is Matt Moore. Does Scott Kingery have a future on this team? Could only see him at second base. I can't. I could see him in any spot. I could see him at third. Like position-wise, this has nothing to do with position. I could see him at third. I could see him in center field. I could see him at second base. Scott Kingery could play any position for the most part. For the most part. So it has nothing to do with position to me. Everything to do with at the plate. I don't think he has the chance to do it because I think he's lost forever. I think he is just annihilated. I think he's screwed. I think he's got an issue at the dish that he's just not going to be able to work himself out of. It's sort of like with Carson Wentz. What is the problem with his mind? Well, there's so many. Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts, Doug Peterson, Howie Roseman, the offensive line, the lack of playmakers, the coach not putting together a good game plan. There's 90 different reasons why I think Carson Wentz was lost mentally. With Scott Kingery, I think there's 75 billion reasons why he's lost mentally. The way they approach the plate, the way with the launch angle, the fact that he got money, and then he got the big contract, had to live up to the expectations. There was already a piece written about how he had to get over that mental hurdle. It's like Carson Wentz got over that mental hurdle and helped out after the Super Bowl and then fell right back into some bad spots mentally, getting called back down to AAA after being here for so long. I think he's done. Has nothing to do with anything other than hitting. Has nothing to do with position. Because right now there's a spot in center field that nobody wants. Not a damn soul is trying to take that, and he can't even get it. And he could if he could hit the baseball. Oh, that spot's his. Oh, that spot is his. If Scott Kingery could hit the baseball, that spot is his every single day. So it has nothing to do with second base or not. I'm done with Scott. I am not patient with Scott. I'm not patient. I think he's lost, dude. His swing is done. His swing is toast. You absolutely ruined that swing. See, I'm pro launch angle. I'm pro all of it. But when you force it upon someone that it's not, it doesn't work with everyone. It just doesn't. Scott Kingery did not need that. And now you see a guy where, hey, naturally he was hitting 19 dingers. You try and get way more out of him, and now you send him to AAA with this contract that is useless, and he's overpaid, and he's super utility role guy who got a big contract. Come on. He's super utility role guy. He's Brad Miller. He's Brad Miller. Bamboo Brad is what Scott Kingery is on this. Kingery is my fault. He's getting plenty of at-bats while working on the new swing. Dude, they just called up Nick Maton. Nick Maton. When they were asked about, hey, why not Scott Kingery? Well, working down in the minors is the place to get better, not AAA. So, or not the majors. They call up Nick Maton. when there's two positions of need right now. He could play center. He could play shortstop. Nick Maton over Scott Kingery. That tells you everything you need to know about where Scott Kingery is with his swing. It's a disaster. Certain players should not use launch angle with their swing. It doesn't work for everyone. I agree. I think it's forced upon certain players. I'm very pro analytics. I think it's big for certain players. It helps. It's a big part of the game. I am pro launch angle. I just don't think it needs to be drilled into every single player ever. That's where I'm at here. That's where I'm at. It's a timing thing. I think it's more than a timing thing. He's the long-term answer. No need to rush him up. Dude, if you're telling me we're waiting 2 years for Scott Kingery to return, it's done. I mean, really, if we're now, it's a long-term process with Scott Kingery, this is a disaster. I mean, it is written all over the wall that this is a joke if this is how it's going to be, where we need to wait 2 more years. Oh, it's a work in progress. Oh, yeah, that contract ain't no work in progress. It's a joke. I can't believe we got Scott Kingery dying on there. I'm done with it. And even when Scott Kingery is, like, I don't think, let's be realistic, okay? Let's be realistic with where we are here. Scott Kingery, that year he had in 2019, batting about 260 with 19 home runs. I think that's more of the outlier than the reality. Even if Scott Kingery becomes someone that has a better swing, I think he's more of a 240 guy with 12 homers. If that's what we're waiting on for 2 years, get the hell out of here. I'd rather go pick someone else up in free agency. Really. I'd rather go in a totally another direction. If he's a 240 guy with 12 to 15 homers, I ain't waiting for that. I'm not waiting for that. I don't think he's 260 and 20. I just don't think that's him. I think that's the outlier. Fred from New York's calling it. Good, damn it. You better. Unreal. Where else are we? Is it me or does Kingery enjoy striking out? Everyone on this team enjoys striking out. You go through the batting order every single damn day. 12 strikeouts, 14 strikeouts, 11 strikeouts. It's tough to watch. It's so tough to watch. But all right, it's 6:45. I want to thank everybody for hanging out today on Leading Off with Brodes. We do about a 45-minute show here for Leading Off with Brodes, so I can get ready to sit down, plop on the couch, maybe mix in a little dinner. Haven't even had dinner yet. Fiance's upstairs cooking a mean meal. Excited. He got some veggies. He got some chicken. I got some Chick-fil-A sauce. Gonna dunk a little Chick-fil-A sauce. Have it all marinated. Can't wait. Maybe a Pepsi. So I want to thank everyone for hanging out for Leading Off with Brodes, and I'll see you tonight on the post-game podcast. Phillies and Sixers. It's going to be fun. All right, thanks, everyone.